Buddy, my name is Eli Regalado. Thank you for joining us on this presentation on how to win at crowdfunding. And what I want to show you today is some case studies on people that have been successful with crowdfunding, nonprofits and social entrepreneurs alike. I'm going to give you some practical tips and advice that you can use in a campaign. I'm going to show you some more advanced hacks and ways to work with our agency. And I'm also going to show you some bootstrapping hacks that we used when we were first starting out before we had the luxury of big PR databases, staff, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to show you the exact process we used to crowdfund over $500,000. So a little bit about us. We are one of the top launch agencies in the world. And the reason I say that is we are a regular speaker at global crowdfunding conventions, including the one in Las Vegas. We are a presenter to global organizations such as TIE, that's the Indus Entrepreneurs, very large entrepreneurial nonprofit. And we regularly work with top influencers on the planet. That's Steve Wozniak over to the left-hand side, and the gentleman right below in the suit is Larry Roberts. He is the one of the 4 founders of the internet. He was the chief scientist on the ARPANET project, which was later commercialized to become the internet. Oh, and for those of you who don't know, Steve Wozniak co-founded a small company by the name of Apple. So the best thing that I can teach you and start showing you is people who have been successful with this. And, not everyone needs, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. Some people, like my friend and client, Lindy LaRoche, who hired us to coach her through her crowdfunding process as a mompreneur. And she was at the top of her field in the medical industry, in the medical sales field. She had a high 6-figure salary, and everything was growing great until she had a very, very big life change. And she had her wonderful son, and everything changed for Lindy. Her priorities shifted. So what she decided to do was become, a high-end soap manufacturer. And when I first heard, she was like, oh, I make soap. And I'm kind of like, okay, whatever. I don't really see anything too cool about that, except for these things are just absolutely stunning to look at. They're sold in the Four Seasons, the Westin, and she has a really unique program where she takes this high-end soap and she donates a bar to women's shelters across the country. So for every high-end bar of soap that women buy, she gets a bar and sends it to a women's shelter for someone who maybe is down on their luck in life and really just needs that pick-me-up. As you can imagine, it's a very expensive process. And so she just wanted to raise $10,000 to kind of offset her costs for doing this. We got her on Indiegogo, and she raised her $10,000, and as a result, her business grew because of it. Her influence grew in the community because of it, and women in these shelters really got an amazing gift that they normally probably wouldn't get. The other one is again, friend and client, Erin Giles. She is the founder of End Sex Trafficking Day. And what's interesting about Erin Giles is this gal raised $10,000 on her own website while her family was on food stamps. They were going through some tough times. She was down on her luck. She watched a movie called Nefarious and said, someone's got to do something about this. And that someone turned out to be her. So I heard about her, met her on Twitter, and then I said, I applaud you for what you've done. I think we can do a lot better if we crowdfund this, and let's give it a go. So we put it on Indiegogo, and the goal was to raise $25,000 for 5 nonprofits who are really the feet on the ground working to address this major global issue. We ended up raising $26,000 and involved influencers like Seth Godin, best-selling authors, entrepreneurs, marketers, and it was just an amazing, rewarding experience for everyone involved. And, we raised $26,000, out of thin air. So it was great. This one's a little different. So, and Ganita, she called me with 12 days left in her campaign saying, can you please help me? and we get a lot of those calls. And, I said, listen, you only got 12 days left. And I was really hesitant, but, I saw what she was doing and that work that she was doing. I said, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to help you. we're going to kind of throw our shoulder in this and kind of set you up for success. So I gave her some advanced social media hacks, some ways to attract additional donors with her existing network, and a media list that I'll talk about later. And off that media list, and just implementing a couple of these hacks, she brought in 60% of her goal in less than 2 weeks. And she raised $35,000. So this isn't just, a couple $1,000s, guys. I mean, this is some serious money that we're talking about. And if you set it up correctly, and if you take some of these things that I'm going to give you today and you implement them, you will raise money as well. And if you master these, you will raise a lot of money. So the top reasons that social entrepreneurs and nonprofits have a competitive advantage in this space are as follows. So there's an expected ask. People are used to giving nonprofits and social entrepreneurs money and are expecting you to ask for it. The network of nonprofits usually larger than a startup entrepreneur who's 19-year-old kid right out of college trying to raise some money for this or that. And there's a do-good component, right? You're doing good in the world, and people like supporting do-gooders. It makes them feel good. There's a rewarding experience all the way around it. And status. I mean, there's something to be said about giving time to a nonprofit, especially one that's in the public eye. The problems I see. So, a couple things here. Begging. A lot of nonprofits and social entrepreneurs equate crowdfunding to begging. I'm going to post a video and I'm going to beg my entire network to give me money. Don't do that. It turns people off. I'm going to teach you how to set it up correctly. So just get that thought right out of your mind. No marketing. So again, people shoot a video and they throw it up there and they think money just to kind of start pouring in. And this isn't, the dot-com bubble of the early days, guys, where you just throw up a crappy website and get funding. People are more sophisticated these days. They've been burned a few times and they're not going to tune in as much as they used to. There's no urgency. So a lot of these campaigns, they have kind of like this lofty goal, but there's no urgency to get anything done today. Okay, so anything that you do with crowdfunding, you always want to have an urgent goal in mind. And there's no engagement, right? So when backers are giving you money, you want to engage with these people. You want to ask them what makes them tick. You want to start engaging in a dialogue in these comment section of these platforms. An intangible goal, or I guess this should say intangible goal, whatever. Don't just raise money to raise money. Have a goal in mind that's specific and that people can kind of get their arms around, and you'll get a lot better response. And the last thing is, there's no strategy, and there has to always be a strategy to whatever you do in business or life. And if you don't, you're floating by. You're just dust in the wind, if you will, right? So put a strategy around it, and you're going to have better results. So, and whatever reason you guys on this call, maybe some of you are frustrated. Maybe the revenue is not coming in as much or as fast as you like. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, there's got to be a better way. And whatever the reason, I want to make one thing clear. Crowdfunding is the future, and you are on the leading edge just for being on this call. So congratulations for that. And let me repeat that. Crowdfunding is the future. It's taking an industry and creating one where there was none before. It's a $5 billion plus industry, and that's all happened within a few short years. So for the fact that you see this as a viable funding opportunity or as a potential viable funding opportunity, that means your mind's open enough to start taking some of what I'm going to teach you. Okay. When talking about the strategy, these small preparations create small raises. So this is how it should look. You need to have a committed team. If you have 4 people working on this with you, even if it's part-time, that's always best. You need to have someone that does social networking. And when I say social networking, I'm not talking about the 18-year-old or 19-year-old niece that's on Facebook all the time. I'm talking about someone that really understands how to leverage influence online. Blogger outreach. You want to reach out to bloggers as well as mainstream media, so your traditional, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, those kind of people. Shoot a compelling video, and I'll go into that. And then updates and engagement, right? So don't just get some money and then don't talk to these people. Get money from these people and engage with them in a dialogue, either over email or in the comments. And then encourage your backers to share. And of course, I come back to this engagement statement yet, because if you don't have the engagement piece, your money and fundraising efforts are going to be short-lived. So that's how you're supposed to set it up. This is what I normally see. Someone shoots a video, they post it, and they pray. And after they pray enough and nothing's changing, they start to beg, okay? So we're not going to do any of that in this call. I'm gonna set you guys up for success, and this is just going to be awesome. So I know some of you might be getting a little anxious as I'm talking about this. You might be scared, thinking there's so much to learn and you couldn't possibly find the time to pull this off effectively. And after all, what's going to happen if you fail? How much time and money is that going to cost you? And what would your board think? What would your family think? And what are your friends going to think about you if you have a failed campaign? And that leads me into let me go back a slide. That leads me into the two fears or the two silent enemies of crowdfunding. That's anxiety. So you're rolling through every single scenario on how this thing won't work, and fear. You're so terrified of having the conversation with yourself where 2 months from now you're going to go, see, I told you so. I told you it wouldn't work. That you're just going to sit there and do nothing. Both are valid concerns, but I want to challenge you to be a little open-minded for the remainder of this call as I walk you through step by step on how to make a successful campaign. So when we talk about fear and anxiety, this is my girlfriend Lisa, and Lisa wanted to stay home with our 3-year-old son Axel, and she was terrified of rejection. She goes, I'm not a PR person, Eli. And I said, well, listen, if you want to work with me, I got to have you do PR because that's where I have the biggest need in the company. And so she says, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. After, several days of me coaxing her, and she saw one of our interns start landing some big articles, and she's now the top PR member of the organization. And her quote is, I don't sell, I present information, answer questions, and schedule interviews. And if you take this approach to pitching the media, it becomes a lot more relaxing, because if every time you pitch, you think I'm going to be judged if someone says no or someone doesn't return my email, this is going to be a very, very unpleasant experience. But if you're just a purveyor of information where you're just going to talk to them, you're going to share with why your organization can solve their readers or audience's problems, this can be very, very rewarding. Another thing is, think of it like a skill, and it's a skill that you only have to learn once, and it's like a bike. So you can become a master at it, but most of the time, it's just a mode of transportation, meaning it's just going to get you where you need to go. And each time you do it, the ride becomes more and more pleasant, right? You don't have to wear your helmet with the chin strap because you're not going to fall off when you ride around the block. Well, crowdfunding is a skill that's going to allow you to better serve people. And let me say that again. Crowdfunding is a skill that will allow you to better serve people and reach them on a more significant level. And why do I say that? Well, doing a campaign can be easier and faster than putting on an event or trying to get in a grant. There's so much information and planning that you have to put in there, along with upfront cost of goods, of human capital, and that return on investment after it's all said and done can be very small. Then you have to recreate that process all over again. These campaigns aren't that hard to create if you know what you're doing. And think about it from a donor's perspective. So have you ever had a donor, give you a small donation, maybe $5 or something, and you never saw or heard from them again? Maybe they went to one of your dinners or saw an ad in the moment, they were engaged, but when that moment had passed, they had already moved on with their life. Now think about this. Have you ever gone to a workshop or retreat and forgot about it? Chances are you're not just sitting there and doing nothing. No, if you're at one of these events, you're much more likely to do something, to retain something, and to learn something. And if a donor gets involved in a well-executed crowdfunding raise, they can talk to people and interact with people and become an active part of that community. And this is one of the reasons people who take part in our coaching classes or in our course succeed, because the mechanics work the same way. They get the feedback from myself and from other members in the group, and they can really generate good ideas from this internal crowd where everyone has the same objective and is committed to seeing it happen. They're held accountable in a way that works for them, and they have access to somebody to get custom advice for their particular situation. And, it just carries over to donors. I mean, just the fact that donors are spending more time with your organization, reading your updates, sharing your campaign with their networks, makes it much more likely they will financially support you at a higher level. Because donors like being around other donors who are as invested in your success as them, and crowdfunding provides the perfect platform for that relationship to spark, take place, and grow. Another reason you can serve more people is it allows you to scale your voice with online marketing and PR. And I hear all the time, I really want to hire a PR firm, but we're a small nonprofit and I just can't afford to do it. And my response is, well, what if I could teach you or your volunteers to be your own PR firm? And, when people hear that, they're kind of, sounds too complicated. It's an expert field. But as you just saw on this slide with Lisa, it takes skill, but it's not skill that takes years to learn, right? You can pick this stuff up in a couple hours, guys. And once you get it, and once it resonates in your brain, it'll click, and you're going to be off to the races. Okay, so anyone ever seen these? Forbes and Wall Street Journal. So Lisa got 2 different clients in each one of these within weeks of each other, and within a few hours of me teaching her how to do this. So there's no excuse for someone saying, I don't have time to learn this, it's too complicated, because it's not complicated. It's just going to take some effort on your part. There's nothing free in this world, including media. But if you apply yourself and you put into practice some of this stuff that I'm going to teach you, not only will you have an article in Forbes or the Wall Street Journal, you'll get articles in the New York Times, you'll get TV placements, you'll get radio placements, and you will create this brand around your mission that people learn to grow, love, respect, and donate to. So, let me kind of just talk a little bit about how significant one article can be. So we had a campaign that Lisa was pitching on. This was when she got her first article, and we had 50 articles total for this month-long campaign. And this one article generated more engagement than all 49 others combined. Now keep in mind, I'm pitching on this. I got other people pitching on this. And, here's, newbie Lisa Regalado come to the scene, and she gets the #1 article for the entire campaign, and it drove more traffic than all of us combined. So don't think you can't do it, because you can. Let me prove it out again. So this is my buddy James Olander. He wanted to raise $9,300 for his Roost stand that you see there. It's this really sexy, collapsible ergonomic laptop stand, so that you don't have to hunch over your laptop, right? James is literally a rocket scientist. He's not a marketer, and he raised $189,000 for this thing. Now, he did a pretty good pre-launch. What he did is he went to a maker's fair and just kind of showed people it, and they said, "Oh my God, I want to buy one." And he said, "Well, we're launching on Kickstarter in a few weeks. Why don't you write down your email address, and I'll tell you when we go live." So we got 400 emails before launch, and that generated $90,000 of backers. Okay, and he did this all within like 27 days. He had like 3 days left before the campaign ended. TechCrunch did one article. He pitched TechCrunch. They did one article, and that one article brought in $100,000 in 3 days. Okay, now this is James Olander. He's a rocket scientist. He's an engineer. He's not a marketer. He's not some suave PR dude, but he set it up correctly, and because of that, one article brought in double his initial efforts that he did on his own. So let's talk about blogger outreach. there's a couple ways to do this, and I'm going to show you guys some hacks. So here's how I first started doing this when I was crowdfunding people. I'm going to go to a screen share now. Okay, so here's how I first started recruiting bloggers before I had all the sexy tools that I'll show you later. This is free to do. So what you want to do is just go to a campaign that's done something similar to you. So if you guys are creating a new toy, in this case, this is one of the campaigns that we did for a company out of Boulder. But let's just say that we didn't, but they do something similar. So what I want to do is I want to copy this image. Now, if you try to right click on it, it's not going to allow you to copy it. So what I do is a screen grab. So on a Mac, it's Command-Shift-4. That'll kind of give you these little crosshairs. I don't know what's on a PC, so sorry guys. But if you do that, it'll take a little screenshot. And then what I do is I go to Google Images, and I pull up my little search bar here. Okay, now once I have that, I gotta find the image that I just shot. So here it is right here on my desktop, and I just drag it and I drop it right there. Now what's gonna happen is it's gonna show me all the blogs that have written with this particular image in them. Okay, so we have the Brick Blogger, we got Postscapes, Kickstarter, KickTrack, of course. I go to 2. Okay, so the Upstart, Wired, Boulder Journal, Longmont Magazine, KickSpy, and we can kind of just keep going through this list, but you get the point. So if you're trying to find bloggers to write about your campaign, this is how you do it on the cheap. Okay, so if you don't have an image, or if you want to move past just using images, another thing you can do is what's called an in-title search. And what you're going to tell Google to do is you're going to tell it to search in the title of specific posts that are geared towards your particular niche. So let's just say that I want to save the rainforest, right? So I'm going to say in title, and I'm going to say rainforest, okay? And then I'm going to say let's just say destroy. So I want to find all the articles talking about people destroying the rainforest or trying to preserve the rainforest, etc. So I'm going to hit go. And here you go, rainforest concern. Why are they being destroyed? Rainforest facts. How stuff works. Rainforest rescue. Wiki answers, ask, right? Greenpeace, red jellyfish, right? So all these blogs, if you're an organization that's set up to protect the rainforest, these are good people for you to start going after and recruiting into your little camp or your tribe. Okay, and if you want a more advanced hack, so we have some sophisticated PR tools that we have in-house. You can, if you're a larger organization that has a budget, you can get the same thing. Otherwise, you can purchase a media list from us and we can build one of these for you. So this is a software called GroupHi. And what's cool about this is I can search blogs. So I can just do a quick search. But again, let's just say rainforest. Right? So we want to find blogs that talk about the rainforest. And here we go. So we have 43,000 blogs mentioning your keywords, 71 rainforest specific blogs. But you're going to notice that we have a little bit of everything in here. So we got some smaller blogs, we got some bigger blogs, got everything else in between, right? So what we want to do now is, suck this list down a little bit, because this 43,000 number is just going to be unbearable. So let's just say that you have some really cool images and you want to find people that have Instagram accounts, you want to have them that have Pinterest accounts, Moz rank. So this is kind of like a page rank for how influential it is on a scale 1 to 10. I usually set this thing at 4. It kind of cuts out some of the small guys. And from there, we can say, okay, so here's all the people that are talking about rainforests. We can sit there and say, is anyone talking about destroy, right? So are people talking about the people destroying the rainforest? And here you go. These are all the blogs that talk about destroying the rainforest. If you want to cut it down and say, I only want to focus on people that do, display advertising, product reviews, contests, sponsored posts, guest posts, we can do all that. Let me kind of run through these because this maybe is terminology that you're not familiar with. A guest post is like Barefoot Jake, right? So Barefoot Jake loves the rainforest. He loves talking about backpacking, going barefoot, hiking, the rainforest, obviously. So what we can do with Jake is that we can say, does he accept guest posts? And once we click that, you notice that Jake disappeared, meaning he does not accept guest posts. But all these people do. So that means you can write a blog post and approach these people to post it on their blog, and they'll do it. If it's a good post and it aligns with their mission, right? So this is a good way to build traffic to your own site, either before, during, or after a campaign. Sponsored posts is they're going to write the post, but you're going to pay them. So one thing to keep in mind, journalists are not bloggers, right? They don't have salaries that they live off of, like the New York Times or whatever. So they make all their money in either advertising, contests, product reviews, or sponsored posts. So keep that in mind when you're approaching these guys, and don't be offended if they ask you for money. Not all will, but a lot of them will, okay? So this is just a kind of a more sophisticated, faster way to build a more targeted list that's not going to take you a long time. And when you open these up, you can kind of just get right into, what these people do. So this is a university state blog, so it might not be totally applicable, but a lot of these other ones would be. Then let's go to mainstream PR. So the best way that we've found to do this, you can find mainstream reporters and whatnot with the Google Images hack. But again, it takes time, right? It takes time to do all that. If you want a shortcut, we have media lists that we're going to sell for $129 for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs. And here's how those work. So I basically just log into this software, and this software is about 10 grand a year. So if you have some resources and you're a large organization, I would highly recommend getting it. If you're cash strapped, you just want to use a list for a campaign, you can buy a list from us. So we click on media contacts. All right, so once we get into this, we're going to pull up media contacts, and what we want is a very good quality list of reporters and journalists to go after. So let's just say media contacts. We'll go into the directory. And let's just say we want people that talk about the environment. So this is called a beat. So this is the main thing that they cover. So here we go. So the environment, right? Let's just say we're still in the rainforest kick. And we're going to hit filter. Okay, so we got 1,981 contacts. And if you look at the beat, you can see that they cover, all these different people cover the environment. They talk about climatology, et cetera, right? And it's not just, a first name and, the outlet. So this is, David Abel with the Boston Globe. He talks about the environment and news, immigration, crime, and police, right? But if we click on David Abel, we also get a phone number and a direct email address. Now, if you have a mission geared towards saving the world and making the environment better in some way, shape, or form, and you approach David Abel with a compelling pitch, chances are they're going to write about you if it aligns with what they cover and it can benefit their readers. So let me kind of talk about pitching real quick. When you pitch a story, and we teach this in our class and in the coaching sessions, but you don't pitch, hey, I'm raising money, because at the end of the day, no one gives a crap. They got their own life going on. They have their own goals and strategies in mind. So you always pitch the benefit your service or organization or product can provide to the reporters, the hosts, the journalists, the editors, audience, or readers. So let me say that again. Don't pitch your product. Pitch the benefit your product or service provides to their readers. And if you do that, you're going to have success. If you do the vice or the flip side of that, you're going to spend a lot of time pitching with no result, and it's becoming a very painful, frustrating process. Okay? Okay, so moving on. So now let's say, okay, you want to do some social media, right? And when people talk about social media, I always crack up because, their idea of social media is to just do a bunch of posts on Facebook and try to get people to share them. Don't do that. It sucks. Okay. People don't like, you spam in their Facebook feeds. Instead, send them a personalized message with Green Inbox. And what you do is you just go to greeninbox.com. You're going to click login with Facebook. So if you don't have a Facebook account, get one. And this is going to allow you to send a direct message to everyone on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. Okay, so let's just start with Facebook. Click on Facebook. You sign in with your Google or your Gmail account. If you don't have one, get one. Hit accept. Okay, and here's all my Facebook friends, right? So you have Jessica Lesson, she was with the Wall Street Journal, you know, all these other folks, right? So all you have to do is click select all, okay, or you can individually select them, and you go save list. And from here you type in your message, put a link to your Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or whatever other platform campaign, and then you click save message. And when you click save message, it's going to tell you how much it costs. So it's 18 bundles. So this is 18 bundles at 100 private messages a pop. Okay. So it's a total of 72 bucks. Every time that we've done this with a client or for any of our own personal projects, we've always at least seen $1,000 return for myself and for everybody else that we've done it with. Okay, so 72 bucks to get $1,000 back. That's just our personal experience. I can't guarantee it with everybody else because I don't know what kind of campaign you're putting on. But we've never, ever, 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 ever lost money with this tool. And the reason is these are all your friends. They're used to seeing your posts. They've somehow, you know, engaged with you at some point or another. Maybe you went to elementary school and you used to, you know, kick each other in the playground. Whatever it is, you know, they know who you are. And if you send them a direct message on Facebook, they're going to get it. It's not going to get lost in the email shuffle. Okay, so greeninbox.com. Get it, use it, do it. Now, if you guys have been seeing these little pop-ups on my window and it says, you know, so-and-so opened, what this is, it's called Signals by HubSpot. And I can see every single person that I sent an email to and if they opened it or not. And I use it because I get over 100 emails a day. I got to make sure that people are actually getting the stuff I'm sending them. It's not going to spam. And at the same time, I use it on reporters because here's what I do. I will take 2 or 3 pitches with different subject lines, slightly different, right? And I split test them, meaning I don't send, you know, 500 people the same pitch and cross my fingers and like, shit, that didn't work, now what? I send little batches, so 20 at a time, 50 at a time with one subject line. And I do it again with another subject line and then another subject line. And then what I do is I use my little Signals by HubSpot tool. Let me just go to that so you can see this. And all it allows you to do is see who opened the email, and then it'll also tell you who clicked the link. So if you said, hey, so-and-so at the Wall Street Journal, we have a product that's going to save the rainforest because we, I don't know, are going to replace all the oxygen that these trees can't because they're getting cut down, whatever it is, right? Here's a quick little link to our video. You'll see if they opened that pitch and you'll see if they clicked the link. So if you send, you know, 75 pitches and you'll see a clear market leader with one of these guys, right? And what that's going to allow you to do is then that's going to allow you to start really pumping these things out on a mass scale, because now you're going to find out what pitch is working the best and you're going to be able to run with that. So Signals by HubSpot, get it. I think the pricing, I think we pay $10 a month. Yeah, so $10 a month. So, you know, for $10 a month, get it. You're going to love it. It's the best tool that we've found for the least amount of money up front. Okay, so let me show you some more tools. This one is called Social Bro. It's a really weird name, but it works really well. So I think we pay like $14 a month for this. So not everything is free in this world, but if you have to pay, make sure you're buying software that's smart. Okay, so I can go to engagement and I can go to, target. I can go to discover new Twitter users underneath target. And what I want to do, let's just say I want to look for people, let's just say rainforest. I don't know why I have a rainforest kick. I don't volunteer for anything in the rainforest, never been there, but for some reason it's stuck in my head tonight. Okay, cool. So here's all the influencers that are talking about the rainforest. Okay, now instead of just having to go through and find these people manually on Twitter, you can sit there and say, okay, only show me people that have an influence score of 800 or higher, that have at least, say 5,000 followers. The account age is over 5 years or 4 years of age. They do at least 20 tweets a day, et cetera, et cetera. You can really start slicing and dicing this list, right? And then what you can see now is you can see all these influencers talking about the rainforest. You want to start adding them to your tribe. And one of the ways to do that, you can go up here, you can add them to a list. So these are the different lists that I have. And if you add them to a public list, they will get notified saying, hey, Amazon Institute, Eli Regalado just added you to a list called Savers of the Rainforest, right? So then chances are they're going to start following you back. Oh, hold on here. We got a 3-year-old running out. Hey, Axel, can you go to bed, buddy? Okay, so that's social, bro. Get it, use it, love it. You're going to really find a lot of return on investment with this thing. Let me give you another tool to use. This one is called Target Pattern. So building Twitter followers can be a total pain in the ass if you don't do it right. So what I use is this little tool called Target Pattern. I think I pay $20 a month, and it gives me 300 to 500 targeted followers automatically every single month. And so how it works is I just go into this little dashboard, and then I set up little words that I want to be found under. So I say crowdfunding, entrepreneur, growth hacker, inventor, startup, right? So these are the words. There's my signals by HubSpot again. So these are the words that when people see them and they see my bio and what I do, I get a follow. And I have my best one is crowdfunding, so I have a 13.4% conversion rate. I've gained 633 followers just off this one keyword, right? Entrepreneur, I get more impressions, but it's a lower conversion rate, but I've also got more followers because of it, right? And then startup, still a lower conversion rate, more impressions, but I'm also getting a lot of followers as well. Now, what's interesting is you can kind of see some of my other campaigns that weren't as effective. And so I kind of just canceled those out. So all you have to do is you just pop in your keywords. It's going to start pulling tweets through. And then you just start collecting or accepting the ones that you want to start following. And you can see I started using this thing back, when was this? Yeah, so back of October of last year, I had a little boost, and I kind of laid off a little bit where I was kind of testing these little keywords to find out what was working and what wasn't. And then as soon as I figured out my keywords, I mean, you can see my followers just skyrocketed, okay? So I'm on the $20 a month plan because I have a smaller audience. You know, it's crowdfunding, you know, entrepreneur, startup, right? But if you have like a larger audience, maybe it's like cooking or something that has a large and wide consumer appeal, you can get more advanced plans. I think they go up from like 20, 50, yeah, $100 a month, and then how much you pay dictates how many followers you get per month based on that. So targetpattern.com, get it. You're gonna love it. It's a really cool, simple, easy tool to use. And I mean, all these tools that I've just shown you guys, I mean, you know, they're gonna cost you like less than $50 with all of them together. Okay. So invest a little bit of money in your success. Don't try to, you know, spend 100 hours to save $50. You know, work smart, not hard. And this is going to be an enjoyable process. Okay, let me show you another free tool. This is called Trello.com. And if you take part in our class or in one of our coaching sessions, you actually get our master template for crowdfunding. And I'll kind of show you what that looks like. So this is the master template, and this is how we work. And if you guys want to take a screenshot to get some free stuff, do it. But the first thing we want to do is a feasibility and research study. Let me show you what that looks like. We had a client that came to us, so this is an example I use, that said, hey, can you do an app? for crowdfunding, and I said, I don't know, I've never crowdfunded an app. Let me check and see. So what I do is I just start looking for apps that have been successfully crowdfunded. They wanted to use Kickstarter, so we looked at Kickstarter first. And so I list the name of the app, how much they raise, a description, the emotional pull, and then any notes, and then a link to that campaign. And if you do this for like 10 or 20, you're going to start seeing patterns and themes emerge on what makes these things successful. And the applications that had the biggest breakthrough are ones that solved really broad scale problems for a large audience. So this is Teach iOS. If there's any developers watching this, learning to code iOS apps isn't necessarily super hard, but there's some stuff that you have to get to do it. So you have to get large downloads, you got to get some equipment, you got to get a software development kit, yada yada yada. So what this did is it solved a problem, saying instead of buying all that stuff, you can start learning on your iPhone and then transfer what you've learned on this app over into a real-world experience. Lumoback was another one. So big problem that a lot of us have, myself included, is if you're slouching, this little app hooked up to a little hardware device will kind of give you a little buzz, like zzz, zzz, and it'll kind of make you sit up straighter. Doesn't shock you, but just a gentle reminder saying, hey, you're slouching. So literally, as I'm watching this video, I'm like sitting up straighter, and I'm actually sitting up straighter now that I'm even talking about it. So great execution here. Back to Trello. So how this works is you can add team members to this. So I can just go add members, start typing in names. So let's just say I say John, right? And then you can pull in all your different Johns. If I want to assign somebody to a task, I can just drag and drop over it. If I want to assign a due date, I can just click on a due date, tell it whenever it is. So let's just say the 30th. If I want to add a checklist, I can do that. If I want to upload an attachment, I can do it from Dropbox, Google Drive, Box, OneDrive, or my computer. Or I can just copy and paste a link if it's like a Google Drive doc or whatnot. I can subscribe to this card so that I get updated. And if I want to mention somebody in this card, let's just say I uploaded this sheet and I want to tell Lisa it's done. I can say at Lisa, this has been completed. Now what's cool about this is she'll get an email with a link to this card where she can go click on it, go directly to this study, and then check my work. So if you guys are working with a team of people, this is the best way to keep on track with the entire thing. We break the campaign into 3 sections. So we have the research section, the build section, and the launch section. So the research is really just kind of finding out who's writing about your competitors, who are your competitors, what they're doing, finding users to target on Social Bro, making a spreadsheet of those people, building out your blogger list, your mainstream PR list, all that good stuff. And then just some housekeeping stuff like logins for each account so everybody has it. They don't have to try to dig through their email. When the build phase, you want to start going into monitoring. I haven't talked about that, but let me just do it real quick because I know we're kind of running a lot on time here. I use NetVibes. We use some expensive PR software, but before we had that, I use NetVibes, and NetVibes is free, and it works really good. So you can create these little dashboards and kind of just pop in your little terms that you want to kind of keep a pulse on. So this is actually my friend Jillian Hellman's business, Realty Mogul. So she's going to present at the Silicon Valley Crowdfunding Conference. Stand Desk, the affordable standing desk causes a crowdfunding frenzy, right? So that's kind of cool. You can search Twingly, which is this little blog network, or you can search Google Blogs for the same search term. You can search cross social media for people that are talking about crowdfunding and start engaging with people in conversations. So this gives you all the news that you need for a specific key term all in one dashboard